Okay. Okay, I think we're good. But today and tonight, actually, and tomorrow, we have quite a complex severe episode happening across much of the Central Plains and extending into the mid Mississippi Valley. So it's Corn Belt. We have potential really for an intense MCS tonight. It looks like it's increasing in confidence that that's going to be a more likely solution. This, I think, really longevity is a little bit on the question mark right now. I think it could definitely last into Illinois, but it sort of just depends really on downstream instability. I think Shear's gonna be just fine. It's gonna be a fast moving, it's gonna be a pretty compact, complex, and I think longevity is definitely gonna be an issue. But it seems like it's definitely gonna last for a long time. But I think 15 hatch corridor was um, included in in the most recent outlook. It looks like some storms coming out of the Dakotas from / Montana is going to grow upscale later tonight after midnight, and this is going to really begin to propagate really quickly off to the southeast and turning eastward late overnight, and that's just going to keep quickly moving off to the east, coming into the evening, and I think there's going to be quite a significant widespread damaging wind potential wherever this hits. I think recent her runs, I think are definitely a little bit representing this MCS a little bit better. We're definitely gonna see some significant damaging wind gusts too, as well a large hail threat, potentially significant late over before part of upscale growth, and tornado threat as well can't be ruled out with this. And I'm not gonna really cover too much of the tornado threat, but um, But taking a look at tomorrow, we have a broad 2%. Again, we could see quite a few tornadoes, especially within 15 hatch wind and hail. Hail threats mainly going to come prior to upscale growth, where we're going to have that big time hail threat. I think strong instability, weak low level shear, and then it's definitely a pretty good environment. We'll take a look at it. And then we have a broad 15 hatched. I think the hatch could expand a little bit further north if confidence really increases of these storms, eventually making it further than Iowa and Illinois tomorrow. But I'm shooting. But anyways, take a look at water vapor right now. We're taking a look, and we have a pretty decent mid-level low. Looks like over Montana. Pretty decent divergence downstream from this little bit of this low. Quite a few short waves going to be pretty much downstream over the Dakotas. That's going to aid to really for initiation this evening. You can already see actually some storms getting going across Montana. We can see those pretty decent tops actually. It's a pretty decent supercell. Looks like that's severe warned right now. Probably some decent hail with it. Yeah, 70 miles per hour winds and ping pong sized hail. And then we'll take a look at the surface pattern too in a minute. Take a look at the. You can probably see that as well. Really, the main, pretty big factor with this, we have a pretty broad upper level low over the Hudson Bay. We have that northwesterly flow, pretty much over the plains into the Midwest and / Great Lakes. And once we have all the short waves, and then you have that stationary boundary, that's gonna really set this really up for tonight and then tomorrow. So taking a look at the station plots right now, we'll take a look at the northwest real quick. We see some southeasterlies to some easterlies, dew points well in the 50s, as well with some better dew points sitting out across South Dakota as well as southeastern Montana. I think once this really cluster begins to run into better low level moisture, it could be potentially a tornado threat. Pretty decent instability, pretty skinny instability gradient, really, axis. Now it's just going to ride to the south, and this is sort of what we're chilling with. West-east boundary right there. Nothing. And we'll take a look at further south, but we see widespread 60s, 70s even. We're seeing some mid 70s too in some spots. So this is definitely a highly moist environment, and that's going to be pretty much favorable for some severe storms this, this evening and overnight. I think I'll get 300 millibars. Yeah, we have that low, and then we have broad zonal flow anticyclone, level anticyclone located actually over Arizona. We have the negative tilted trough actually digging up into the northeast. A pretty cool upper air right now. Seeing it looks like we have 18Z from it's a pretty classic airlift sounding. We have pretty modest little buoyancy, but steep lapse rates thanks to that EML really. Where we see some pretty decent instability aloft. Once that EML just continues to really continues to erode with time as passing short waves really begin to lift and cool this. Initiation does appear likely, and that's a classic. We have strong upper level support really, weak little shear. That's definitely going to support some supercells really, and some hail associated. So we'll take a look at the NAMs, how it evolves upper air pattern. We'll take a look at the RAPs too, but NAM we have some short waves. Looks like that upper level low feature, mid level low. That's just gonna hinge really into. Now it looks like that might be the main really factor. The NAM sort of just evolved this a little bit differently. It looks like you have that, and that's a pretty strong wave. And then once we get into the next day, we have another strong wave really begin to evolve over Nebraska, South Dakota. And that just dives southeast. And then the next day, we have yet another strong wave that ejects into Missouri / Iowa. And that definitely could spell some issues. We have pretty much 3 days in a row where we can have MCS potential for a long-lived MCS. We're going to mainly cover with tomorrow. But I think my main concern really is just how we're going to have this very moist environment. I'm betting it's going to, that really evex north overnight. We have that MCS evolves. Boundary is going to be shunted south. It's effectively enforced. And then that sort of sits south for Thursday, but begins to surge a little bit north. We have that cold front moving in, it looks like, and then we have that really moist environment pretty much. That's going to be on top of much of a pretty large spread area. So we'll see really how it does. We'll take a look at 15Z wrap, how it evolves upper air. Sort of the same. We have a short wave coming in. Oh, it looks like it's a little bit further north with the wave. And then the next day, that's a really robust wave over Iowa and Nebraska. I think that is definitely going to cause some issues, really, for the next day. I think placement could be a little bit of an issue. Actually, I don't know. It's pretty solid, but definitely something to really watch these next 3 days where we have multiple waves, really, showers and thunderstorms with some severe potential every single day, potentially significant too. But we're gonna go back to tomorrow, really. We'll see how the herd really evolves. It's sort of beginning to correct itself. The herd might have a decent really grasp of what's gonna really look like. It's just gonna keep mixing though, which the surface pattern at 0Z, we're definitely gonna be seeing widespread 70s dew points across much of Nebraska, Iowa, into Kansas, and Missouri, which is gonna take a little bit for it to correct itself. And we have an MCS really begin to really rapidly propagate to the southeast overnight. We're going to have that significant rear end flow jet. And that's just going to help maintain it well overnight. And that's just going to punch right along the Iowa-Missouri border. That's where probably the instability gradient, the E gradient is going to be right along. And I'm betting it's going to be looking a little bit better than what it is right now. But you can probably see that boundary is pretty much going to be located right around there and just going to ride it. And we're going to see a pretty much self-maintaining MCS overnight. And it's going to be, and you can't really rule out significant damaging wind gusts. Then pretty much in the evening, we're going to have that DE axis pretty much going to set up pretty much right further south. We're going to have that outflow boundary, probably some remnant outflow boundary going to set up. And then pretty much over the nearby, along the Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, all the around there. It looks like we're probably going to see some initiation pretty much right along the boundary, and that's just going to begin to really surge. I kind of doubt the her is really simulating this, but it is a little bit later, but it's definitely not. It's gonna be a lot more clustered than what the her shows, and that's sort of what's gonna probably trend to tonight. There will be supercells initially, but I think it's gonna be a little bit late with initiation. It's gonna be in the mid to later afternoon hours, but it's definitely not gonna be at around 0Z. By 0Z, it's probably gonna be already grown up scale, and we're gonna see that significant wind threat evolve. We'll see how. We'll take a look at the downstream, so we can really assess the initial hail threat, I guess. We'll take it like right there. Why not? That's very well mixed. It's pretty classic Hailer environment. Long, straight but long photographs. Strong instability. And that's sort of how it is. And to be honest, there's definitely significant hail, but the Earth's convective evolution in the evening is definitely not going to be right. It's said it's upscale growth. It's going to be likely with this, given the tendency really with the photographs being more linear in nature, as well as and just you're gonna pretty much ride to the southeast over central Missouri into southern Illinois overnight. So that's sort of my thoughts right now. I don't know if I'm gonna upload tonight. I think I'm gonna do stuff tonight, but this is sort of something I'm gonna cover right now. Sort of my current thoughts about this, and yeah. Apart from that, that's kind of it, and I'll be back soon.